the very first episode of the Rolling Stone Uncut podcast.
Yeah,
Sorry to spring that on you right now. You're on the podcast. Congratulations. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's good to be here, guys. It's good to see you again. Calum and Michael, in particular, I spoke to you guys for your respective solo albums. Congratulations again.
Thanks so much, man. Thank you.
I want to start there, and Calum, I might start with you because I think our interview was in May. And I was kind of pressing you on 5-star stuff, and you were very secretive.
Yes.
Can you tell me where this project was at in May when we had that conversation? Was the album done then?
Well, maybe if it's okay, we could start with me.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, perfect.
Actually,
yeah.
I'll take Michael's question. I don't know where May. We probably had already done kind of like the main chunk of the writing. Like we probably had the main body of work already by then, but there was still a lot of work to be done. So we kind of had to really lock in and make sure that we got it done because we had the date and kind of like the month in mind. So yeah, we really had to work hard to get it done.
Mm-hmm. Michael, you're smiling. What's going on?
No, just really I think that's a good answer.
It seems like you don't think
All right, you can get your turn now.
No sarcasm. No sarcasm.
When did the conversation start then? Obviously you guys got to have a couple of years off and work on your own music. But when did the conversation start as far as, right, let's get back in the studio? Is it a conversation between you four? Is it a conversation with the band and the label? Does someone just say, hey, I have this new sound I want to talk about?
Yeah. We didn't have a label at all for a long time. We started this album just independently. It started in 2023, I think, or late 22. And we wrote this song called Number One Obsession, which kind of kicked us in the ass, and it was sonically interesting, lyrically interesting, and we started to share it amongst each other, and it kind of kindled the beginnings of Everyone's a Star. We kind of fought for this one for kind of a few years, actually. It was a pretty long process for us. It worked out perfectly, though. Like, we needed to just focus on what we're going to release and how we're going to approach 5 Seconds of Summer, because we have such a rare, precious thing with this group, and we didn't want to rush anything, and we also wanted everybody to express themselves with the solo records, so solo albums. So we didn't pressure that to go by too quickly either. So Number One Obsession kind of kicked it off for us, and we would then kind of plan writing trips and try fill in more gaps, and we were attempting to get signed later in the picture when we had most of the album already done. So thank God we ended up with Republic Records, and they're the perfect home for us now, but we had so much ground to cover, and it wasn't as obvious as it seems right now as we sit here talking to you.
It is funny listening to these songs, because Michael, I think when we spoke about your solo album, the thing that you said that sticks with me now is you said no one has any fucking idea what this next record would sound like. And I thought I had an idea, having listened to these two solo albums in this last year. Mm-hmm. I did not expect the two ones that stuck out for me, Prodigy and Gorillaz. Mm-hmm. That was a mindfuck for me. And I know at least the Prodigy was an influence on this new sound, was it not?
For sure, yeah, for sure. And we took so many different inspirations from so many different eras of shit to put together into something that felt every time when we go into it, it's what's the thing that everybody expects the least, And I think that being able to do it and it feeling fresh and a total, it's always got to be fun and exciting and uncomfortable a little bit, I think, in order to to just continue to want to do it, because we're just not the type of band who makes the same song over and over again, or wants to make a sound that's just that one thing. They're already there for a reason. If you want to listen to something like that, you can just go listen to it.
It's funny because it's not even just Prodigy. It's we started to notice was in pop again, and it was what the fuck is that doing here? So we're like, we're listening to the rhythms and the beats that are happening in other contemporary spaces, and we're like, how do we, ride this? I mean, we love to experiment with rhythms. We really broke through rhythmically with Youngblood. Obviously, it was like a shuffle, which could be put into so many other ways. Obviously, Tears for Fears, but also it's a 12-bar blues shuffle. So we're like, that really blew our minds open to utilizing other genres' rhythms with our style of songwriting. So Prodigy is the obvious one, but it was also the producers we're working with, like Jason Evigan and stuff. He's more interested in sub-bass parts and drum sample parts that I can play along to and emphasize, mixing that with we're talking about the Clash a lot and stuff, and adding these like rough and tough guitars to these new rhythms, and exploring new melodic cadences and stuff. I mean, it was a total long experimental process where we landed on things like Not Okay and Telephone Busy and stuff,
Because
and I was right, wasn't I? You
You're
had
100%
no
right.
idea.
No.
Yeah, I know. I think that was like what's so fun about it. Like this new era is like everyone's like, this is fucking Five Sauce. Like I just think that's so fun, in my opinion. Like it's just like the whole thing that like it's what is so beautiful about what we get to do for a living is like we just get to like make shit that's like whatever we want.
Yeah, and it probably feels like since Youngblood, you guys don't seem to give a fuck what the public perception is of what Five Sauce should sound like. Yeah. Luke, I know even in your solo album, you were heavily influenced by like the War on Drugs and Neil Young and Calum and M83 and Phoenix. These are not bands and artists that the casual Five Sauce fan would associate with this band. Is it an organic thing? Do you guys want to push that on yourselves to explore those sounds of what the cliche sound of what a Five Sauce song should sound like?
Yeah, I think it's like being able to, it comes a lot from being able to express ourselves as solo artists as well, being able to get those sort of, whatever my like sonic and lyrical agenda is doesn't even matter anymore, because I've completed that journey, and it's like what does the band need to sound like now? And I think we just want to, it's been fun trying to experiment with keeping that, like at heart we're like we're a rock pop punk band, so it's what does that sound like with, like Ashton's talking about, new rhythms and like these dance rhythms, and trying to pull in all these different references from all of us, and the way we can that's why it took a minute to get pulled together, is all those influences like collide and make this whatever Everyone's a Star is. And it's definitely the most exciting part of our journey. And you're right, since Youngblood and all of that, we were like, oh, okay, we can sort of try something new and it can do really well, and we just keep riding that wave. And every time even on the fifth album, that was very introspective and like wide and expansive and all of that, and just to be able to flip that on its head and do something that's kind of a bit shocking was really fun. Yeah,
more about the entertainment value of the whole thing, not getting so precious about like sonic genres, and it's kind of like old school talk to us. We're just kind of more like, is this entertaining? Is this attention grabbing? Does this have the 5 Seconds of Summer DNA, which is the edge? Does it have the anthemic nature to it? And we started questioning from afar, what are the personality characteristics of 5 Seconds of Summer, which is, the beauty of Time Away. You can see it from further away and you go, oh my God, we should be doing something like this.
This kind of feels like the promos are done, like the boy band tour announce promo. It does feel like a gentle fuck you to everyone who labeled you guys as a boy band from start to now. And I think this new music is proof that, like, if that is ever still a concern, you've put that to bed. You said there you're kind of having fun with it, but is there a little bit of like, fuck you?
Well, that's punk, isn't it? We're not like, it's more just thank you for such a sharp tool. Pop is a conversation with society to us. It's more, the things you call us, we can turn them into firepower creatively. And that's really a bit of a breakthrough psychologically for us. It's like, call us more things, we'll just make a pop song out of it and utilize that conversation, have a dialogue, because we're more interested. That's what pop is to us. It's the conversation between the audience and the band, and so we love being called a boy band, and we love that title because it's so useful for us to empower ourselves with it, and talk about our experience of being a boy band, and if we want to go deeper on that, we could. But I'm not sure how much.
It's a podcast. You can if you want to.
Yeah, for us, I mean, I found it very, when people would call us a boy band when we were younger, it was almost like to emasculate us and make us feel smaller than we were, and to belittle our dreams as musicians. It was nasty, but we weren't intellectualizing it enough to use it as a mirror, or actually we could use it this way. And it was a bit of a breakthrough when we did that on this album, and actually just accepted it fully. And if you say we're that, then this is our version of that, which is funny because it's actually, it's been very enjoyable and cathartic to use that language to our advantage.
Yeah.
It does feel like as well, like thinking about this album and the sounds it's going to. I have to say congratulations to all four of you, because you beat the machine. I think, Ashton, I spoke to you in 2020. You were the first one to release a solo album, and I said, does this mean you might be venturing out and this could be the start of the end of 5 Sauce? And you said, absolutely not. This is going to make me a better songwriter for 5 Sauce. And then Calum and Michael, you guys gave identical answers. And you've done it. I think Michael even said in our interview, there was some guy early in your career who said, you guys will be fine as long as you never go solo. So fuck that guy, number one. But number two, is it fair to say this album is an amalgamation of all your solo ventures coming together? This is what the album sounds like with those albums together.
Yeah, and it's silly because he wasn't a dreamer, as cheesy that is. He's just a businessman, who said that. But we realized that this band can't go too far if we control each other's actions. You need to hold it loosely, and it's more of something you have to choose to show up at rather than say, put it in the calendar and say, this is when we're going to do this. That's what changed the band dynamic and matured us and allowed us to thrive even more. Because we've been talking from the get-go about having a long-term career, but what that means to us is, elevated personal freedom creatively, and honoring this gift of 5 seconds of summer in our lives. So everybody's record process and everybody's freedom actually set the band free as well.
I mean, given that you guys have been doing this for a while now, do you feel you're now at that status of a band that can, when they get together and do an album and tour, it's because they want to, it feels good, it's something they want to explore. You're not being controlled by a label or a company, or whatever it may be. When you guys get together for 5 Sauce, it's because you want to and you are exploring new sounds.
Yeah.
And I think this new music is proof of that, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's it's incredible to be at the point where we're all here because we're choosing to do it, not because any of us feel like we have to. You know what I mean? And I think that once that, for, whatever amount of reasons, once you get past all of those things and you like Ash was saying, you give each other the freedom, then choosing to do something is just, you're always going to be able to then completely put your heart in it. You know what I mean? Versus being told to do something or feeling like you have to,
This is super vulnerable right now to us, because we're re-exploring and reinventing 5 Seconds of Summer again, 15 years in, with this insane ambition, and it feels so new, and I can't wait for people to actually hear this album. I feel like we've been looking for our staple album our whole lives. We've been fighting to have that album that's I fucking know that album, I love that album. I think this has the dynamic range and expressiveness for this to be our iconic album, hopefully. And they're just hopes, but to really honor our career so far, our dream is to have an album like Everyone's a Star, and it feels like we hopefully have arrived at our really identifiable moment,
Luke, what would you define this chapter as for 5 Sauce?
I think it feels like Ashton was just saying, the amalgamation of 5 albums of work and songwriting and working on it, and I think being able to step out of the band for a second and look at it from afar and be like, okay, if I was a fan of this band, which we all are, as in we all are, not the whole world,
everyone.
assuming everyone is, obviously.
100%.
What would I want to hear and what would be exciting to me, and how do we rebuild the individual characters of the band? Because I think being able to look back at our first album and all of that, and people really liked the individual characters, and how do we make them all shine? And it just feels like we've reached, like Ashton said, this like the staple 5 seconds of summer album, which is so crazy, 6 albums in. I think that's the thing that I'm most proud of. It's 15 years of friendship and pushing ourselves to, I don't know, it's crazy that we're just still swinging. Like it's weird at this point in our career. It takes such, it's like pulling a big rock up a hill for 3 years to get an album over the line, and we all know that it takes a piece of you to get it over the line and to put on a great show and make it all come to life. And the bar has been set so high that I know we all want to be here because it's hard to get it there, and we're all striving for an A++, which is difficult this far in. We all have separate lives, and it's really cool to see it all come together.
Yeah. Ashton, I might ask you, because you complimented my shirt, would you say this album is Five Sauce's Blink Untitled record?
No, I want Back in Black.
Okay, sure.
But yeah, they rock. We love Blink-182. I feel like we have a different perspective on pop to them.
Yeah.
But the way they use their lyricism is something that you might be able to hear in what we're doing in Telephone Busy or Boy Band. It's kind of like using our own unique vocabulary to express what has happened to us in our lives and what our run has been. But Mike always says this feels like our first album again. Like so much has happened, and the past and even technology has evolved so much since we started that this album feels like it's coming at a really interesting time in history. So we don't know what's going to happen to us, but it feels like a really unique moment that's unlike any other that's happened to us in our career.
I think what's most impressive about you guys is that given the fame and success you've had at such an early age, and the attention and eyeballs, and these allegations of being a boy band, yet here you are. You guys seem so comfortable.
Never gonna beat them up.
You seem so comfortable in the chaos, right? Like you're evolving and maturing as songwriters and as friends and as musicians, and then you take whatever genre you think Five Sauce is and you throw out the window. Yeah. I don't even know what to call this genre, and that's I think the coolest thing about what you're doing. Yeah. It's rock, it's punk, it's dance, it's so many different things. You guys seem in a very happy place as a collective. Is that fair to say?
It's just a facade.
I'd say that's totally false. Yeah, no,
definitely not.
No, yeah, I feel like
it's a facade. I really thought you were going to say something profound.
It's one of those things where it's like, it's kind of like similar thesis to the solo albums. It's like if you constrict it too much, then it'll implode, And I think the reason why this band operates so well is because it's like there's this thing where it's like, oh, don't think of the monkey, and you think of the monkey. It's like you almost need to be, what's the right word? It's just like observant, but not be like too concentrate on it too much. It's like it should just feel like you're living. Natural. You're living. Yeah, it should just feel natural, and I think that's what this band does really well. It's like it's not too much like we need to stay together, we need to do this, we need to do this. Yeah. It's very much just comes organically to us. But we're still very cognizant of that there are goals that we all want.
Yeah, we just have like this rebellious nature too. We really don't like when people tell us that we are something, or as most people don't. Like, sure. We really enjoy Reinvention as entertainment, and the entertainment of all this is like the most important thing right now, especially with the collision of sound and imagery these days. They come together. It's not really like there's not separate things anymore like they used to be. You know, you're not just. It's a whole, like, even we think about our social media stuff these days, and we're creating art in that sense too. Like if you go to our page right now, we're throwing like these, we're like actors now as well. You know what I mean?
How's that feel?
It feels amazing. I mean, like we've always wanted this to evolve into something that's totally unique to us, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, we talk about bands like the Monkees and stuff with the TV show, but they have these amazing albums and stuff. Like, we really want to grow into this, like, we want to be true to the nature of what we actually are and not allow others to tell us what we are.
Yeah, it's nice actually, because we've been doing like the bits and the skits just not in front of camera for our whole career. So it's nice, especially like on the 10-year anniversary we did like the YouTube thing, and then on the 5 Seconds of Summer show, we started bringing that, like, because it took us a minute to figure out how do we bring in that old school 5 sauce, like whatever that is, like that early days, like fun, kind of silly, but whatever that feeling is. How do we bring that into how our music feels now, and being able to do those skits and like poke fun at ourselves and poke fun at, you know, the way the world is, and, you know, inside jokes with our fans has been a really fun way to like reinvigorate that. You know, even with our lyrics on this new album, it feels like we're kind of taking the piss a little bit, but also they're really intricate, and like we have all this, you know, 15 years of wisdom from making albums, and, you know, we're talking about real life experiences, but they're, you know, it's kind of in a ironic, funny way. So it's been fun to actually, you know, be in front of the camera and not like, I don't know, just playing a bit of a character.
Is it entirely possible, like, obviously you guys have tapped into something new and exciting here, but given how often you change it up, is it entirely possible in 3 years' time or 4 years' time, when we're talking about a new album, that you guys are now promoting like just a light death metal album?
It's all strategy though.
Yeah.
It's like you have to keep it real about, like, you know, how is this gonna land? You have to have a certain amount of experience to know how it could be translated by our listeners and our broader audience, you know. I think it's entirely possible that we make a metal album though, because I know we're all actual metalheads, you know, deep, especially. That's how him and I met. We bonded over the band Coheed and Cambria, which was very strange.
Shout out.
But, you know, but if that would be pop though, like these moves are pop. They're not just random, self-indulgent, genre-bending madness. It's really what we think will translate in the times. Yeah.
Okay, well guys, thanks so much for coming on the show, the first ever episode, by the way.
Wow.
Any last words for fans?
Bless this show. May you have many good shows. Thank you, Rolling Stone. We're 5 Seconds of Summer. We love you.
See you on tour. Everyone's Star Tour 2026. Probably.
Thanks.
Definitely.